Welcome, London, and here we're back again with number 7. I'm going to talk about the history of London and where we've come to and where we come from, how this city was built, in my mind, and certainly what I know about, and why it's important to engender and to create entrepreneurs in this town and try to celebrate them. It wasn't done by taxing Londoners. It was done by allowing entrepreneurs to build their life, their lifestyle, and build this community. And this is how it happened. And to the extent that we now end up with a media that's in basically negative media environment, I'm going to explain how that happened, and to what extent, how it got there, and what we can do to change it. And you can help me make this happen. So let's start off with the history of London. London, for how long it's been going, was built basically by a lot of business people. It was built because of the forks of the Thames was there, and it was a great place to live. We had farming community in the area. This is a place you wanted to have a great place to grow and to build things, and there was lots of food and water around. And we engendered a whole bunch of business people, and some of these big companies within the last 100 years were people like Somerville during the war. They were doing things during the war. Labatt started here in London. 3M, General Motors, Simpsons, Kings Mills, Kellogg's, Emco, London Life. People were involved with a whole bunch of community. Like London Life, a lot of the directors started Esso, if you didn't know that, and they did some of the wells. The first wells in North America was done right here near Gobles, near Hamilton, and of course in Petrolia. And they were doing the ways, and they set up the means by which they would drill wells, and they went to Texas to make it happen. And of course, even the university was involved with a lot of the oil company, and certainly gas, and that's how Sarnia got set up. It was basically all the development around London, and these oil wells and refineries. Other people, like Canada Trust, was developed, if not grew here with the people. TD Bank, of course, grew. The Hunt Club was a place where they had parties, and they had their fun and had their golf course. I mean, that's how it got going. Horses in the area, big time. Even horse racing was started by Evan McGugan years back in night racing, first in London. Excello, automotive plants, built this country. And then a person by the name of Blackburn came along, and boy, he got charged with and bought basically and developed the whole media in London. Started with CFPL radio and the paper, CFPL paper, CFPL TV. He's the first one in there, and he had a whole bunch of newspapers, empire around this area. And basically the editorial board with him as a businessman, and he had the mayor involved, and he had local business people. They basically decided what you would know. They got together and said, this is going to be in the paper. So in the paper, the radio picked it up, the TV picked it up, and all this was the method by which information was disseminated around London. Because of a great businessman, he understood entrepreneurial, he understood how the community could function, and that was a great series of many, many years until about 20, 30 years ago when it was changed. It was changed. He died, of course, his daughter died. And the empire got switched around and got sold. So we've got now CFPL Radio is another company. We got the papers owned by somebody else. TV's owned by somebody else. And I think these now have their offices and their head offices outside London, and they're run either from Toronto or from Montreal. And to the extent that they want to keep selling papers or keep buying advertising, is just basically are people listening, and to what extent can we get people in London to listen? Well, the concern that I've got is that now we have a whole different mandate of what we have to do and to what extent. Now, the editorial board, I don't know who's on there. The mayor's not on there now, and they've got a different reason. They got to make money or make money or make money. And the concern I've got is that now the news that's come out is basically not is sold as the news, but it's fiction, or it's opinion, or it's something that is not even correct from the point of view of let's have the facts. So from my standpoint, I've learned this after 2 years. I said, holy cow, I can now know why business people do not run for election, because you can be nailed in 3 days with some fiction, and you find out, holy cow, my whole career for 35 years has now been devastated. I mean, right now, if I had election, I wouldn't win. because of the fiction that's out there and the belief that people read words that are true. They're not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now compete, if not change the media in this city by doing a couple of things. Number one, that's why I started Dale TV, and it's called Truth and Opportunity. I want some positive news. I want opportunity where you can get involved. And by the way, we're going to have to now use whatever power we got from the city, elected officials, as well as the moral suasion, to say that we want to demand things will be better and factual information is coming to us. Here's a good example. A couple of weeks back, I guess it was almost a month back, is during one debate to do with cigarette smoking, and should we in fact shut down the rules or the rights of a person that has an addiction to smoke. And by the way, we should shut him down so he doesn't walk down the street smoking, and don't let any kids see him smoke. And by the way, maybe we can give him a ticket as well, because, gee, we don't want that, do we? Because secondhand smoke may be affecting somebody else that walks by. Well, let's think of this. What is the person smoking? The person is smoking gunpowder plus about 800 other carcinogenics. Why don't we do something about the cigarette that's being they're allowed to pick up and smoke? Take that carcinogenics out of there and find out that, wow, the secondhand smoke is not going to kill people now because the carcinogenics are gone. Well, there's one vision that no one's even talking about. How dare you even talk about going after the cigarette company? They haven't been making taxes. So that was one issue. And a little later on, I talked about, well, we had a medical clinic in Hamilton, which I talked about in another video here, is that we were reversing cancer, Crohn's, fibromyalgia, and gangrene under my watch. And I said, wow, there's ways of solving this. Let's do some research that are real from the point of view of let's see if we can help the people other than helping a pharmaceutical company come up with another patent. And then I also mentioned that we should do some serious research because of Health Canada having not only 3 protocols, they got about 30 protocols for doing cancer. And all you need is a medical doctor to sign for it. And he can then apply these protocols, which are legal in Health Canada right now, but nobody knows about it. And by the way, they don't even keep record of it, and they don't even keep a list of how many did or did not get better by that. That's wrong. So from that standpoint, I'm saying, wow, well, did I make a mistake? And unfortunately, I guess as Woody Allen says, I got my tongue caught in the typewriter, if you know what I'm saying, and that can't happen again. So it's not going to happen again. So I think that's why I've got the Dale TV going. I have to tell you the truth of what's going on and to what extent we can make changes. So I'm thinking now how we're going to make changes. We're going to have to start to demand things from our local media. They all get together and have a group hug all the time, so no one's going to be fighting everybody else on this deal. They're all kind of a group hug because they're all looking for a job maybe at the CBC or something. But on the other hand, I think we have to start saying, no, we're not going to accept some fiction that's masked as news. That's why Dale TV is coming out of the chute, and that's like Marshall McLuhan say, the media is the message. So this is now the 21st century. Yes, there's going to be ink thrown at me big time, but that was the 20th century. The 21st century is information. So now this is information that you've got now available to get the truth, get what I'm saying, not what someone believes they want to filter and then give you some kind of a vision that I'm not even thinking of. So I think what we in London have got to now try to have the reality that we've got to make changes and we've got to demand changes in our local media. And what that means is that we don't want something to be written as fiction and opinion in a paper, for example, and then it's just be read as verbatim on the radio, which has happened for years. And by the way, we have now professional readers now are becoming unprofessional gossips. Well, that can't be. You've got to force that. And I think the way we can do that is, number one, I'm trying to get the city to take a look at that and say we're not going to be spending any money, city money, in any kind of an organization that does not have an ethics commissioner. Well, wouldn't that be interesting? So now we're going to force them to have an ethics commissioner, or the City of London, which I'm going to try to see if I get my cohorts to agree with me, or you as a reader or as a listener or someone putting an advertisement there are going to require that they have ethics commissioners to make sure that when the opinion is there, they say it's opinion, their opinion, or not, by the way, here's some fact, and by the way, we can maybe sell something or see if we can have more sales because of fiction. So I think that's something we can do as a London. I want you to help me do that. And stay tuned, because I think there's going to be a lot of ink coming at me now. They say you can't have you can't go against anyone. Certainly, the last century said if they buy ink by the truckload, you're in trouble. Well, I think the new economy now with the internet is information which says no, no, no. We want the truth. We want the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And I think that will sway people's vote, what they think, and how people are going to help them when they're, especially politicians that are putting their hand in your pocket and taking your money and going to be spending $5,000 a year. You want to know who they are, what they are going to do with your money, and to what extent are you going to get good value. And this is how we're going to have to talk to each other so you know who you're voting for. So thank you, and we'll talk again.